Hello there, this is Jay. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I thought I'd go over the year 2020 as well as go over my plans for 2021. So let's begin. Now, if you're here just to see what my plans are for 2021, I'll put a little link for the time code in the description because when you're recording, you don't know at what time you're going to be talking about the plans. Again, in the description will be a little link to the time in the video where I start the 2021 discussion, so you can just click on that and it should take you straight to it. But for everyone else, here's a overview of my year 2020. Some people may think this is crazy, but if you have a smartphone, everything you do is tracked really. And in Google Maps, I actually keep a recording of everywhere I've been all the time. So all of 2018, 2019, 2020, it's all tracked. I actually like looking at them at the end of the year, just kind of see how many places I've been. And then it's funny to look back in like 2014 and see how few places I've been. And it's actually kind of funny too, because when you drive, you could see the routes that you take on the map. So here's a view of my 2020 map. It's kind of all over. It's a little bit of the United States, but I went to Germany quite a bit, so there's that. And here's my map of 2019, pretty much all United States. I'll exclude the Germany part because I flew to Germany in December 27, 2019. But most of it was just traveling over the United States, car camping, and just doing that for months, and it was a great time. Here's 2018, and you'll see just PCT pretty much, and then the train ride home. But 2020, it was kind of all over the place. When I started this channel and made plans for everything to live out of the car and travel, I pretty much made it all the plans on the assumption that I was never gonna find another girlfriend. So everything was made with me being alone all the time. And on the PCT, of course, I met Tina, and it kind of changed all my plans. So I'm kind of all over. Fortunately, she likes to travel and backpack as well, so I still get to do a lot of that. I'm still planning to do a lot of that, but I'll probably visit her in Germany regularly because she still has to work. Most people have to work typical jobs, not the kind of thing I'm doing. So on December 27th, 2019, I flew to Germany. And believe it or not, 2020, I actually spent more days in Germany than the United States. I spent 149 days in Germany because I was there between pretty much January, February, early March, and then came back here again mid-October, pretty much through the new year. I'm going to fly home first week of January. And then, so it was 149 days in Germany. And then I would have spent more days in America, but I actually went to Croatia for 75 days. So my time in America was actually 144 days. So this year, I'm actually more German than American, oddly enough, right? It's kind of weird. What's funny is December 27th, I flew into Germany last year. And actually, that wasn't the first time I was in Germany. The very first time, we just flew from Iraq straight to some airbase in Germany, but we weren't allowed to leave base at all, so we were stuck there, so I didn't really get to see anything. I remember looking out down a hill, because air bases are usually kind of higher because of the airstrips, and seeing buildings with orange tile roofs, and I thought, oh, Germany. But I never thought I would come and visit for so long. On this first trip to Germany, Tina asked me if there's any place in Europe I'd like to go. And like we traveled around Germany, but I brought up going somewhere that most people wouldn't go for like a vacation. When I was in high school, I remember on NBC they played Schindler's List unedited with no commercials, and that really stuck with me. So I kind of really want to go visit Auschwitz and all that, but it was just so far away from, like, I went to Italy, but it was just way too far from that. I couldn't figure out a way to get there easily. But we went to Krakow And we actually then toured Schindler's factory. It's still there, the building's there. Most of the museum that's there now is about the Polish resistance and the fight against the Germans, but a little bit was about Schindler and his factory. And what's funny is the stairs where Schindler walks out and then he looks at the girl at the stairs, it's still there and you can actually see it. So that's pretty interesting. But after that, we went on a tour of Auschwitz, and it's just like you see in the movies. It's really bizarre. Highly recommend going out there if you ever get a chance to do so. The weird part is you see in the movies the main brick barracks, but then there's another section of Auschwitz that they built when the first section got too crowded, and that place was massive. It's like as far as you can see, but most of it's ruined because they were just wooden structures, and all the ovens got destroyed by the Nazis when they left the concentration camp anyway. So but it's a really weird experience. Fortunately, when we went there, I guess not fortunately, but COVID was just starting, so there was not too much travel, especially from Asia coming in. So there weren't that many tourists, really. There were a lot, but not that many. More European Union type, I think. But so we got to see it without too big a crowds, so which made it even odder, I think. But if you're interested in me making video, that I recorded some video, it was mostly just pictures and I didn't really talk much in the video. I'll put one together. I haven't thought about putting it together, but we'll see. So after our time in Krakow, we actually went down to Prague, and again, very few tourists, so we lucked out. We got to see the big famous clock there, and there wasn't the usual gaggle of like Chinese groups everywhere. So we got to see all that, and then we actually went back home, layover in Belgium. So Google Maps thinks I was in Brussels for a little while, but it's just a layover. We had planned Tina hiking the CDT, and I was just going to follow her with my car, but things were going crazy with the travel restrictions, and then early March, I was going to fly home, and then Tina was going to meet me a few weeks later. But then the US announced travel restrictions from the European Union. So we both flew early March to the US because we thought we could still do the CDT. So we went to my sister's, stayed there for a couple of weeks, but it looked like more and more that we wouldn't be able to do the CDT. In retrospect, we probably could have. We would have had to be a lot more lax. I don't know. There are still some closures they had to go around, but I guess some people did through hike this year, although they were flip-flopping all over the place. But we decided against trying it. But with more restrictions among all the states and regions, we decided against trying it. So Tina flew back home to work because there was a chance that her work could be having layoffs, so it would be better for her to be actively working than on like a vacation. So she did that, and I stayed in Illinois with my sister, and basically quarantined. We played a lot of Rummy Cub, lots of Uno, lots of Life, lots of card games, and I stayed with her until Illinois basically released the lockdown early June. And then I took off. For 45 days, went straight out west, stayed one night somewhere weird, and then hit the Badlands area. And then while heading west, the first place I hit was Devil's Tower National Monument. And then as I headed further west, I just wanted to find a place that's higher elevation to be a little cooler. It was June after all. And I saw Bighorn National Forest, and I thought I'd check it out. And what's funny is from the Bighorn town, there's a crazy steep gravel road up. And what's funny is like it rained a little, but as I was driving, I felt my tires slipping a little, which is, So anyway, I flipped to 4-wheel drive and everything is fine. But up in Bighorn National Forest, there are just off-roading trails everywhere. The main road is gravel, so it's any car could manage that really, but there are tons of side roads you can just go explore, and there's dispersed camping all over, and it's just super quiet, pitch black nights, clear nights when the clouds aren't there, and it's just nice and cool. It's an awesome place. It was probably the biggest surprise I had that I really enjoyed was being there. It was also there where I got to see my first moose in the wild, which is amazing. Like, I've never seen one out in the wild before. And I saw 3, and they actually hung out, and I was able to record some video. But even better, when I was sitting in my car at another dispersed campsite editing videos, 4 moose came by and just walked right by, relatively close enough I had to worry about my solar panels that were laid out. I think 3 of them were the same I saw before, but I couldn't tell for sure. But I think looking at the other videos, maybe they weren't. So from Bighorn National Forest, I headed out further west and drove through Yellowstone National Park just to do some hikes that were closed the previous year when I was there in November. And then I drove down to Grand Teton National Park. That was the first time I've ever been to this national park, so it was really nice seeing another new national park. And I didn't know what to expect. It was beautiful, but I also did not expect it to be so crowded. I didn't expect such a small park to be as crowded as that. I think it was like the 2nd most visited national park in the US this year, which is crazy. I read articles they were trying to start limiting how many people can go through so people could enjoy it better. I saw cars parked, like, there's a lake and there'd be a road and then the main road. They were parked all along the road and the main road. It was pretty crazy. But so while at Grand Teton National Park, I dispersed camped in a national forest just east of there. And there, I actually saw a herd of pronghorn antelope run right by my camp. And what's funny is I found out just recently that they are the 2nd fastest land animal on the planet after the cheetah. So I had no idea that the 2nd fastest animal lived in the United States, and there are herds of them out there, and they're all over. I did some hikes there, and it was really nice. But then the other highlight was I actually went around the southern edge, went on the west side, and there's a national forest there, and you can just disperse camp there, and there's tons of dispersed camping, and that was really nice too. And there's another wilderness area you can hike into, and Table Mountain and Alaska Basin. Alaska Basin is probably the best hike I did this year, so definitely if you're in that area, go there, go to Alaska Basin. It's awesome, awesome hike. Double Staircase is shady at spots, but beautiful views once you get to the top. Also out in the national forest west of the Tetons, I was dispersed camping, and I actually saw my first fox in the wild. It just ran right by a camp. I had no time to pull out a camera, but just ran right by, and I watched it, and that was that. But sadly, all this time there, no bears at all. No rattlesnakes, no bears. Lots of elk, lots of deer, lots of pronghorn antelope, lots of prairie dogs, but no bears. Better luck next year. Oddly enough, all the bears I've seen have been with Tina, so I'm not quite sure if I'm walking by all these bears and I'm not seeing them, or just bad luck for me. Although the times I saw them with Tina, they were like smack dab in your face out there, bears. So who knows? So after Grand Tetons, I headed north. I want to go to Glacier and at least do maybe a backpacking trip out there, or do a lot more hikes. But it was, oddly enough, the closures because of COVID screwed everything up. And for a while they said they were going to only have campsites where it's first come first serve. So I headed that way, but when I got near there, I found that they only had one campsite open in the park, and it was a reservation only campsite. They didn't have any, or they weren't doing any of the first come first serve. So dispersed camping was almost impossible to find outside. I saw tents set up on the side of dirt roads in the national forest. It was pretty bad, and the campsites were also full or super expensive. Like a car pull-up site was $50. Fortunately, I got one shower there because the showers are so cheap, and then the tent campsites were all taken, which is crazy. And there really isn't too many places where you could just kind of stealth park and camp out, because a lot of people are doing that because there's no place to camp really around there. So because of that, and the eastern gate was closed, I actually just drove up the glacier and then drove back out and headed east just to get away from the crowds. As I headed east, I actually hit Theodore Roosevelt National Park, a park I didn't know much about. And it's funny because there's two parks and they're actually in different time zones, which is weird. It throws off my camera. I kept it all at the same time zone, but it's like things will become an hour off if you have your cameras in the wrong settings. So anyway, part of the reason I headed east relatively quickly is because Tina and I made plans to meet in Croatia. We wanted to see each other, but at the time, the US was not allowing people from Germany in, so she couldn't come here, and Europe wasn't allowing Americans in, so I couldn't go there. So we looked at countries that would allow both of us in, but they're like Mexico. We thought about it, but I think there were a lot more restrictions. I can't remember exactly why we said no. So it wouldn't have been as fun, or we couldn't have spent as much time there or gone crazy staying there. Then Iceland and UK were the other places, but we were planning on spending a little over 2 months wherever we choose. So afterwards I can fly straight to Germany and then spend another 2.5 months here. But we wanted to try to we want to find a place we can spend 2.5 months and not go broke. So Iceland was definitely not it, and the UK not it, but Croatia was open, so we chose Croatia and we went there, stayed there for 75 days and had a great time just exploring like crazy. It's great when you have more time to explore an area so you don't feel rushed. You can kind of see more and appreciate more. You could spend more days in certain areas. But yeah, we had a great time. And then after that, we headed back to Germany in mid-October. And we actually found an apartment in her hometown. She's doing home office like everybody else is. So we stayed in her hometown of Emden near her family. And then that's it. We've been doing that. Believe it or not, first 2 months, all I did was edit videos and she just worked. And we couldn't really go anywhere. I forgot to mention that Germany had a policy in place where unmarried partners could still come into Germany at this time. So we had proof, like I had pictures, and then we had receipts from train rides and flights while I was in Germany the first time. So we were able to just get right in legally and everything. So that's how I'm in Germany now. The first 2 months here, all she did was work, home office, and I just edited videos and worked on getting stock footage out from my Croatia trip. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I've been uploading things to a stock footage site, and what you do is just upload 6-second to maybe 50-second segments, and if someone buys them, you get paid. So this is actually the first year I managed to sell any stock videos. Altogether I've sold 6, and you get about $23 each to $40. It depends, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not good yet, but it's not bad. So I've been uploading more and more of those this year. I'm hoping next year I can upload even more, but we shall see. And that's it now. Still in Germany. It actually snowed today. It's December 29th. It's a lot of it's melted, but the cars still have some. Pretty wild. So plans for 2021. Well, I'll be flying home first week of January, spending a couple weeks. There's no rule set yet. Could change in the next week, but I'm gonna try to quarantine at my sister's place best as I can. And then it's the usual things, appointments. I'm gonna get new tires for my car finally. I've been talking to a company near where I'll be staying, and I'm gonna get, I think, 33-inch tires. They're gonna be an inch taller. Well, the car will be an inch taller because of that. So we'll see. And it's gonna be a lot more aggressive than what I had. I didn't want to replace my tires right away just because, they're new tires. They're so good. But I have maybe 35,000 miles on them. I'm not sure. But also the weight rating for the tires, for how much weight is in the car, is not the best. So I'm really excited to get new, stronger tires with better grip so I can be more confident when I'm out on the roads by myself. Earlier this year, also when I got the drone, I tried to look into getting FAA certified for the drone, but I couldn't find information about where to take the test because the COVID lockdowns were happening and there was shelter in place rule in effect. So I already scheduled it, but in late January, I will go in and take the test, hopefully get certified so I can go crazy recording drones commercial footage. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm hoping to hit the road early February then. And my plans are to head southwest. I might go around New Mexico. I don't know yet. But I'm going to try to get into Arizona. Maybe see some national parks there early February when it's less crowded and colder. I kind of like the cold anyway. But in mid-February, my plan, I haven't posted it yet anywhere, but I plan on through hiking the Arizona Trail. 2 miles of it are closed at the southern terminus because they're working on the border wall. But hoping mid-February, I start from the southernmost point and head up. They say it takes up to 2 months to finish, and I figure I can do it in a little less. I'll try to vlog every day though, so it'll keep me busy. But it is just under 800 miles, so I figure it's kind of like doing Oregon twice maybe, but with more elevation change. We'll see. But that's the goal for now, Arizona Trail, and then be finished before mid-April. The reason I'm starting mid-February instead of late February, which is usual starting time, is because I'm trying to finish before Tina gets into the States. I want to start at a time where I can guarantee I'll finish before she gets into the States. If I started late February, I may be able to finish April 15, but I know that vlogging and uploading all that takes up a lot of time. So I hope to be finished April 15th or so, and then hopefully all the policies change and Tina can still fly in somewhere, and then I could pick her up and then she could start her CDT through hike. So that's the plan again there. Same as last year. She's going to through hike the CDT and I'm going to follow her up north. And those of you that don't know, the CDT is the Continental Divide Trail that starts near Lordsburg, New Mexico on the Mexico border and ends in the border of Canada. So she'll be doing that and I'm going to follow her around. I'm going to have my kayak. I'm going to kayak as much as I can in any lake I can find and do a lot more car related videos during that whole time. A lot more hikes, a lot more mountains, and I'm planning on visiting other national parks I haven't been to along that route as well. So I'm looking forward to this year. I think things are going to get better by March or April. So I'm planning for things to be better and hopefully things will all work out. And then after she finishes her through hike, I plan on also then flying to Germany again in October or so and then spending 2.5 months there. And then on to 2022. And as of right now, I actually have something in mind for 2022, but I'm not going to say until October. So for 2021, expect a lot more backpacking, hiking, and car-related videos. And I will get to you all later and see you next year. Take care and have a happy New Year's, everybody.